Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. For some time now, cabinet reshuffle has been trending on Twitter, and Kenyans are really waiting to see whether William Ruto will conduct any reshuffle. Like they say, where there is smoke, there is fire. Lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo yaja. And there have been a lot of speculations. Sometimes back, the Star ran a headline that some ODM or Azimio leaders were to be included in the next cabinet. And it is also speculated that when William Ruto will be doing reshuffle, he will also be appointing persons to be ambassadors in some of the respective countries. And it is expected that he is going to include members of their competitors. But I got an extract here from one of the dailies that really shocked me. It was saying, and it was trying to allude into what is going to happen, that former Mombasa Regional Commissioner Nelson Marwa to take over as the new CS for Interior from CS Kithure Kindiki, who will replace Justice Muturi, AG, as the AG will be going for an ambassadorial post in Britain. And I was like, is this one of the usual rumors? Is it something that you can rely on? Many a times, let me tell you, but before that, you remember the former Mombasa Regional Commissioner, a very tough man. In fact, during Uhuru's government, it was very interesting to see how Marwa was making good his threats. He tried to deal with the rebels in Mombasa. There was some outlawed group that was causing mayhem in that area, and he really tried to deal with them. In fact, if you remember, Marwa was there, Natembeya was in Rift Valley, and then Fred Okengo Matiang'i was standing strong. It was really interesting to see them talk tough and they act. In Ruto's government, we are yet to see one CS who can say something, stands with it. And the reason why they say that Marwa should be brought in and replace Kithure Kindiki, this is not the first time we've had rumors that Kithure Kindiki is wanted out of that office. During the street demonstrations led by Azimio, there were suggestions from very close allies of Ruto and Gachagua that Kithure Kindiki needed to be replaced with the current CS in the Ministry of Defense, Eden Duale, because there was a strong feeling that Raila and some of his henchmen were supposed to be arrested. And they felt that Kithure Kindiki, being a lawyer, was being led by conscience and the constitution, and so he did not want to make good the threats from the government that the Raila should be arrested. So they wanted someone who could, try that very risky game. And at some point, Kindiki started talking tough. I don't know what happened. And of course, you saw some of the very close allies of Raila being arrested, but they didn't arrest Raila. So this is not the first time because they feel that Kithure Kindiki is weak and he does not want to, act. And for Justin Muturi, he's unwanted in that office. He has complained of the same. He's not, reading from the same page as the government. He has disagreed with the executive. The latest being, he opposed the continued taxation on the housing levy. He declared it unconstitutional, something that is one of the Ruto's pet project, the housing levy, and he declared it unconstitutional. And of course, you all know that as we speak today, the government seal has been taken from his office without his, consultation, and he's saying that even staffing in his office is being challenged. So he's been complaining that there is no respect for his office, and some of his staff members have even been resigning. So there is a general feeling that is unwanted in that office. So this snippet is saying that those two will be replaced, and Kithure Kindiki is the one who will be AG. The AG will be taken to some country as ambassador. Now, in Kenya, we have a lot of rumors. You don't know what to trust, but this sometimes is an NIS release just to test waters and see what people are going to say. If there is one thing that is crystal clear, it is the fact that a cabinet reshuffle is looming. As at when it will happen, we don't know. But what are some of the reasons that can compel William Ruto to conduct a cabinet reshuffle? Because many have argued that it's not very difficult to conduct a reshuffle. Why? Because William Ruto appointed politicians into offices. And you see, when you conduct a reshuffle and remove a politician from an office, they will start campaigning. You know what politicians are. And William Ruto is also looking at 2027. So removing these people, they will gang up with the opposition and start maligning and campaigning against Ruto. So it's said that that is why it is not very easy for him. He's not in a hurry. He's still trying to look into ways of balancing so that he does not is not left with a rotten egg on his face. There is also that act of regional balancing where all these cabinet positions are being held in the Kenyan scenario, Kenyan politics. They are being held on behalf of what tribesmen. That if you are a Kalenjin and you have been appointed, then you hold that position on behalf of your community. Rigathi has put it very clearly that in the 2022, the last election, it was time to plant. And then after that, those who voted in the Ruto government, the Kenya Kwanza government, are therefore supposed to get some fruits out of it. They harvest. And by harvesting means you are now being given portfolios, ambassadors, ministerial positions. Your people are being appointed into several state offices. So that is why it is not very easy for William Ruto to conduct business, because when you remove Otieno from a position, you must replace with Onyango. You remove Kinuthia, we want you to replace it with Kamau. If you remove maybe Keino, then we need maybe a Chebet, because it must be a kind of balancing. And then there is also that act of gender balancing. So that if you remove a lady, for example, if you were to remove Aisha Jumwa, then you have to replace her with another lady. Otherwise, you'll be told that you had promised to take care of the female gender, and you want to achieve the one-third gender rule. Now you are removing our ladies and you don't replace them. So that has been the hurdle. But what are some of the reasons that can compel Ruto to conduct a reshuffle? One, Ruto himself has complained that his cabinet secretaries, the entire cabinet, is not equal to the task. He once told us that he sometimes inquires into an issue that is pertinent in their areas of jurisdiction, and they do not know. And William Ruto says that sometimes he knows more than the people he has appointed, and really faulted them himself. And this is the reason why people feel that maybe it is high time he replaces them so that they achieve, because the cabinet secretaries are the people who are appointed to help a president achieve his goals as he promised during the campaigns. You remember when Ruto was celebrating 1 year into office, several polls were conducted, and Kenyans gave the entire cabinet a D. Of course, Kithure Kindiki was singled out as someone who is trying. He's working. He talks very little. He talks less, and he works. Of course, there's been that problem of workload, the ID, and all those things. But he was singled out as someone who is trying. But the rest were given a D. So this could be the reason why William Ruto is looking to replace some of these cabinet secretaries. He confessed himself, and Kenyans don't believe in the cabinet secretaries. Number two, it is time to look at reality. When William Ruto was appointing his first cabinet, it was done with emotions to reward those who helped him campaign, to reward those who stood by him. Some people also were complaining that, we suffered because we were supporting you during Uhuru regime, and so you have to reward us. Those who did Raila at the last moment when Raila needed them the most, people like Aisha Jumwa, those people, they were to be given something. But now, time has elapsed and it is no longer 2022. Ruto is now facing the reality and he realizes that it is not about rewarding. He may want to face the reality and have people who can work into those offices. There is also another paradigm shift. William Ruto is not very sure about some of these people's tribesmen. Like, he's not sure about the support from Mount Kenya. Already, as we speak, they're crying about taxation, something that their members of parliament went to parliament and proudly passed with a lot of impunity, bragging to the opposition that they didn't have the numbers. Now they are complaining. And William Ruto knows very well that he cannot count on their support in 2027. So he might want to do a reshuffle to ensure that he he targets the areas that he wants to get support in 2027. In Raila areas like the Luo Nyanza, in the coast, in Western, William Ruto is really trying to woo the support from those areas. So he might decide that during the next reshuffle, he will be including them because he's already started campaigning and is eyeing the ball. His eyes are on the ball in 2027. He might want to reward them. He might also want to punish those whom he labels as rebels because as we speak now, Attorney General is someone who is in office by mistake. By taking the president head on and opposing his pet projects, his ideas, he has also complained that the executive does not listen to him. The best way to do, if he does not want to resign and if William Ruto does not want to relieve him of his duties, because that again will backfire on him, the Kikuyu nation will say, okay, ameanza kutupa watu wetu. The best way is to take him to another docket or as an ambassador, as it is being said here. So those are some of the things. Some rebels, people like Moses Kuria, their names are being mentioned whenever you talk about reshuffle. So some of these people are being labeled as rebels. They're not helping at all. Might also be shaken. There must be a shake up here and there. So I don't know. I cannot speak with authority about this. But many a times, those street politics, those speculations also turn out to be true. I don't know what you think because we've seen some of this being said, some of them have come to pass. Some people had predicted that one day Raila and Ruto will kind of form a working formation. We have seen them, even though we have not seen that smoke yet, but there are signs and symptoms. And people are already saying that in the event that this happens, then one person will be crying. And that is the person who has always opposed any kind of talks between Ruto and Raila because he says when he goes State House, he will be sitting there with a pen to take notes. Unataka nini? Sema niandike hapa kwanza. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we can only wait and see whether this will come to pass. But Kenyans are really waiting with bated breath to see whether William Ruto will make any cabinet changes. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.